So it's been a week now since I uploaded my last video, and in that video, right near the end, we were talking about, well, the whole video was talking about how you can use motion blur to just make your pictures a little bit more interesting, give them something, something cool to look at. But also right at the end, like I was saying, there was one image where I took a picture and the background had something a little interesting in it, because the whole idea was that you can have anything in your background, and it doesn't matter what it is. By having this motion effect really, you can make anything look pretty cool and pretty dynamic. Now I did say also at the end of that video that I'll tell you this week, well, I said next week, which is this week, I'll tell you what was in the background of that very final picture. Now like I said, giving you a week, and I think that's enough time to think about what the image is. And to be honest, there was quite a few decent guesses. I think there was only actually, double check, I think there was only actually one correct guess, and that was on the YouTube comments. I had a couple of DMs on Instagram, but none of them were correct. But yeah, you're gonna look back on the video if you want to look at it. But yeah, we had one correct guess, and that guess was from a person called Andrew Carr, and he guessed that yes, it was a trash. Well, you guessed it right, because it is a trash can, even though it's not a trash can. Did he even say the word trash can? Yeah, to be honest, he did say trash can, so technically that is right, even though I don't think he called it specifically. It's not called a trash can, but in general, he was the only person that got it right, or at least, I'd say it's right, yeah. Would call that a trash can. So one person got it right. Still pretty cool, and as you can see from the picture, it looks pretty cool, considering that in the background I did have a pretty dirty trash can. But anyway, that's enough for that video. Congratulations to the right guess. But anyway, let's continue on with this week's video. So a couple of months ago, it was my birthday. It was back in March, and I'll admit I got some cool presents and stuff, but there was one that really stood out, and I was thinking I really want to make a video with this very certain item. And I was thinking for a while, oh, can I use it for one thing, can I use it for another thing? And then a couple of weeks ago actually, I had today's this video idea, and I thought this item it just makes sense to use it for it, because it just looks so well. And I'm pretty sure what we're going to do, I don't know why I'm being so coy about it, you've read the title, but yeah, what the item is and what it'll be, well, not what it's used for, just the way it's designed will work really well with some really nice lighting. And it's basically this thing. It's like well, no, it's not, it is a decanter. Look at that, how cool is that? Look at that, that is pretty amazing. And it's also just made fully of glass, which is awesome. And as you can see in the center, there is like a nice little ship in the middle, which honestly just some amazing detail in it, which I'm surprised I got it. Honestly, it's too much of a nice present, I'm not gonna lie. And so anyway, because it's such a well-made, designed, just aesthetically pleasing product, I thought why not use it for today's video. And basically for today's video, I want to show you how you can utilize and really show off having and just using one light, one single point light.
Obviously when you are big enough or whatever, you can, if you want, have multiple lights and whatever. But also, even if you are at that stage, you might actually want to still just reel it in a bit and see what you can do with just a single light, because it's one of the things where, you can have all this amazing stuff, but if you can dial it back a bit and go back to pretty much basics, you can maybe even relearn something, or maybe you'll find something out and just learn something really cool and something interesting and hopefully creative. The more maybe the next time you got a project and stuff like that. And now I think about it, to be honest, we will be doing more than, or I will be teaching you more than just that one thing, which is just using and utilizing one single light. Because actually, I'm going to show you also a really cool single light that you already have. Like, I know for a fact you already have it, and you can get started on this process right now. And that single light thing that you have is literally your phone. So let's get started. Okay, and this is our setup for today. So literally all we've got is we've got this black cloth here, pretty simple, just because we want a nice black background. We've got our product here, which is the decanter, the glass decanter thing, which it's pretty nice. And to be honest, this light here you could ignore. This is really only here just so I can show you guys the product a little bit more, because obviously on camera you can't really see it that well.
I mean, if you turn that off, see, I mean, it kind of, you don't really see it that well. So this is literally just here, just so you guys can see the product a bit more. Okay, so first off, I am using my phone to record the sound, so I won't be using my phone. This is actually my sister's phone. It's a little bit dimmer, you know, brightness wise, because you can't really see it. But to be honest, this is more of a prop for today, because I will be using my phone to do the actual shots. I'm going to use this just so I can show you, just give you a little bit more of a practical demonstration of what I'll be doing and how to use your phone to give you that cool single point lighting. But anyway, let's get started. So the very first thing we'll be talking about is just, you know, the very normal way everybody uses light. So I'll use this as an example. So, you know, you just light it from the top, maybe from the side, whatever, you know, just light it, you know, just have it on a tripod or something, have it on a stand, and it'll just light it very normally, which, you know, it gets you some decent shots, and it does the job. You know, there's nothing wrong with starting off like that. But with this thing we're going to do today, you're going to actually get some pretty cool dynamic lighting effects, maybe, and even just, it's a new way to think about how to light your products. So, you know, we've talked about the normal thing, so let's now get into the more exciting stuff. Now, one thing you want to think about when you are lighting up your product is think about what it's made of and what the product is. So here you can see we do have a glass decanter. I know one of the key features of it is it's aesthetics, the way it looks, because it looks pretty cool. So what we want to do is you want to light this in a very cool way, and because it's glass, that is one of the key things with it. So now what you're going to do is you're going to get your phone and then simply just put it under the glass, or near enough under it, and then you'll start to see how the glass will illuminate itself and give itself its own highlights. And this technique will actually work with pretty much any piece of glass, which is, you know, honestly, it's pretty cool. Now, the cool thing about using your phone as a light is that you pretty much have all the control over your screen. And basically what I mean by that is, so here you can see, yes, it's plain white. You can just download some colors, any colors that you want, any colors that you think, you know, will suit your product best. You just make it full screen like that, and now you have a colored light to go around your phone with. Now you can do anything with this. You can actually, if you want to, set it in one location, maybe the back or something, maybe the side, do that. Or you could be a little bit more creative, a little bit more artistic with it, and you can try and work out the best ways to move the light around your product. Now again, the reason I did choose to use this glass item as, you know, today's object for the video is just because glass and light, they just mix really well. If you want to get some cool pictures, you really can mix glass and light, and honestly, they do go pretty well together just because of the really cool dynamic effects that you can get with them. So as you can see, literally just doing little things like moving your light from one side to the other. Obviously, one thing you want to do is just try and be as smooth and as slow as you can with this, because you want to have that nice smooth effect. You don't want the light to be moving all around, unless, I guess, you know, maybe you feel that could work for your image. Maybe you're going for something a bit more chaotic, then maybe that'll work for the piece. Now with this, it's nice, it's light, it's delicate, it's, you know, it's kind of fragile, but it has that air of sophistication to it. So I feel personally that I don't want to mix that chaotic nature with this very specific item. But I mean, depending what you're going for, it might work for that. So you know what, best thing is try it out, see if it works. If it doesn't, go back and do the opposite. Here I'm very confident that I just want to have that very smooth movement with the light. You know, you can do back and forth on top, maybe around the side of the back, maybe even underneath, underlight it again. Maybe you'll have another cool effect, but with color. So again, think about adding some dynamic movements to your shots. From doing that, you will highlight different areas of the product, which again can really work in your favor for having some cool shots. And actually, speaking about movement and moving, you know, the light and all that kind of stuff, one thing that you might want to keep in mind if you really want to heighten up your, you know, videography game and just try and just get it that next step further, is try and think about movement with not just the light but also your camera. So think about maybe moving it left to right, maybe up and down, maybe panning across the object. Just try and think of different ways to move your camera with the light as well around your product, because again, having your camera just set here maybe and just doing that with your light, you know, it might look good. I'm not gonna say it won't, but again, it's one of the things where if you can add some movement to your shot, you're just adding that little bit more interest to it, and something that looks a little bit more dynamic. So again, try it out. If it doesn't work, keep trying, and you know, you might get something that you actually will, you know, pretty much like. So to be honest, it is one of those things where I'd personally say, you know, just give it a go. Try something that maybe you're a little bit uncomfortable with, some different camera movements, some different camera angles, some just, you know, some different camera shots really. And to be honest, if you're really not that happy with what you produced, which I don't know, I think you could produce some cool stuff, but if you're not, you can go back to the stationary stuff. It still looks pretty cool, but I would say generally and overall, the shots that have that dynamic movement, the creative stuff with different angles and all that kind of stuff, generally they are the ones that stand out a bit more, they look a bit better generally. Not all the time, generally. But yeah, one of the things, just try it out and just see if you are happy with it. If you're not, just go back to the old stuff. Now the last effect we're going to talk about today is using your flashlight. Now what you're going to do is, you're not going to do anything with the actual product itself. That's going to be by itself on its own, all that kind of stuff. What you're going to do instead is, with your actual lens for your camera, with the light, you're just going to find the right angle. I don't know where it will be on this one. Now as you can see, there is a lens flare in the shot right here, a bit of a lens flare, which is pretty cool. Obviously the camera was in shot, so you didn't want any of that. I feel the best way to include a lens flare, you know, your own lens flare into the shot, is to zoom in a bit. So, you know, I'll give you a bit of a demonstration. Now once you've zoomed in enough and you find the right angle, you will see that you will start to create some lens flares, which is pretty cool. Now the more you move it around, the more you'll see some different types of effects coming from your light. And again, one thing to do is just experiment and see what type of lens flares you can create for your product. Because honestly, sometimes you can get some shots that look pretty cinematic, which honestly, who wouldn't want that? Okay, that's the video, and I hope you liked it. I know it was pretty cool to show you guys that you can pretty much have a lot of cool lighting effects, and you know, there's different techniques that you could use with literally just something that you have in your pocket every day. And honestly, I mean, I will admit, using glass for this, maybe it's a bit of a cheat because you can get some really cool effects with glass. Saying that, you can try it with, you know, other products, and maybe you can get some cool shots as well. I will admit, I did use glass because I knew that, you know, for a fact it would look awesome. But anyway, we have to go into that. Anyway, thanks you for watching. Hope you liked the video. If you did, please give it a like. If you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe, and I will see you in next week's video. I always notice in my videos when I'm editing and stuff, this space is always pretty empty. I mean, it makes sense because obviously my head's usually around here somewhere, but I mean, it's just always empty, isn't it? So I thought, why not put this? I would have tried it once, and it looks, you know, it looks pretty cool, and I like it. But it's just one of those things where, you know, it's glass. You know what I mean? It's glass, and like I don't want that to break because I mean, like I said, it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool present. But I mean, to be honest, I'm never in this area. If anything, you know, I'll reach for the lenses. I'll reach up here. I mean, I don't really touch this that often. Them, I don't touch that often because obviously the one I keep is usually in my pocket, so I don't touch them. So it's in a place which I don't really touch that much, so hopefully it's safe. And you know what? It does look pretty cool.